Hi, welcome back to the Hand Toolery. I'm Andrew Malacy. Today we're going to be working on the drawer support structures for the interior, obviously, and we're going to do that by cutting some long rabbets with my Stanley 78s. And I've got this piece here, which is basically the leg blank from that large slab offcut that I had at the very beginning when I cut my legs. And it's almost 2 inches wide right here. I've squared it up along the length. It's very consistent, but as you can see, it's irregular as far as like the top goes, which doesn't matter because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it essentially like a T. I'm going to leave 3/4 inches in the middle here, and then I'm going to cut a rabbet, taking it down to that, and that what it'll do is leave me like I said, an upside down T, and it'll become the drawer support structure. And then I'll just cut it down the middle. I don't know if you can see, I've got a line there, more or less where the middle is. And that will rest, just like that, underneath where the drawers will go. And the drawers will ride on top of that. And then the vertical part of the T will act as the horizontal divider. So that's really all I'm going to be doing with this. And then what we'll have to do is I'll have to mortise it in where it's going to go on the actual sideboard here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do for that. I'm not going to worry about measuring, I'm just going to make it level and just fit it exactly where it needs to go. So, all right, so let's get started. As you can see, I've got 2 lines here, and those are the thickness. And there's a slightly wider than 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to rabbet down to them, but before I do that, I have to actually get my height of up to from the bottom here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, let me double check this. Yep. So the fence here on the bottom of my 78 is only like 1/2 inch thick. So that means I can lay this flat and then plane and the fence won't make contact with the bench. So that is very helpful. There's the spur. See it right there? All right, I'm just going to take that. My fence is loose. And I'm just going to set the spur in there. There it is, it registered. Bring the fence and lock it down. Lock it down good too. Now I'm actually going to put the spur away because you don't need it for going with the grain for rabbets. But I always fear losing it. All right, here we go. Alright, so I mean, it's cutting right. Now I'm going to start at the end here. Already it's coming into shape quite nicely, but I'm going to have to increase the cutting depth. Also, this is kind of how you make molding from what I understand. I've never done it myself, but from what I understand, it's you start with your rabbeting plane or whatever, and then you make the profile squared. If you're going to make it like this, you're going to make a corner like a stair step, and then you're going to remove the corner with the actual molding plane. So this is kind of cool. I mean, I feel like I'm making molding, but I'm not. Oh yeah, you can hear the depth is increased for sure. I'm actually at the point where I have to remove the depth stop. So there's that. The other thing is that, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of shininess on the cap, lever cap, or I don't know what you call this, the cap that holds the iron. And it's because I was slowly pushing the lever, slowly pushing it over, and it was making contact with the wood. And I think that's just me, because when I'm doing this, I'm holding it like this, as you can see, because it's just so unnatural for me to use it like this. So we'll see. I reset it, but also now I don't know, it seems to be a little bit too heavy at this point, so we'll see what happens. But I've really tightened this sucker down, and now I've removed the depth gauge, so let's see what happens. It's pretty close. I'm gonna leave it. Not bad. You can still see the line, but I'm pretty happy with how square that is. Now you get an idea of what I'm going for. This is the back of it, and as you can see, it's really not that great. I'm having real trouble mastering this 78. I know a lot of you have given me tips, but I'm just gonna say a couple things. It's really not that there's a lot of moving pieces on it. I've never been great at the 45 either, so I'll blame it on that, I guess. But also the left-handed thing here is working against me. And I know what's happening is I'm pushing to the end, my force is causing me to push through, and then I'm angling it away like that. So I'm kind of pushing hard, and I know I'm pushing it out, and that's causing problems. Then I'm trying to correct it, and then I overcorrect it. So good thing I built in some extra room here, and it'd probably get chopped off anyways, because it's a couple inches longer than I need to be. In any case, those are just some difficulties I've had with the 78, but practice makes perfect, as they say, and I'm really quite happy with this. That's going to be a pretty nice drawer slide there. This will be in the middle between two drawers, and so it'll serve as the divider and the support on the bottom. Looks good. Now I'm going to flip it around and do the other side. Alright, my fence, which is good, doesn't seem to have adjusted at all. I'm not pulling it back to score it. I've already done that with my knife. You actually don't have to do it, but I like to do it. And I'm just making sure my fence hasn't shifted, but I really cranked that sucker down. Alright, so there we go. That's a good start. A lot of people had commented on how I wasn't starting on the end of the piece and said maybe that could help me out. So let's see if it really does make a difference. Here's the piece. I'm pretty happy with it. As you can see now what I'm trying to do with it. It's a T, but it's inverted now. This will be a drawer support or a drawer runner. This will be the divider between the drawers. This piece is going to go in front of it. So this will be a divider between the two rails. So it'll be a mini style. And this will get mortised in the top and bottom. So as you can see, there's just a little bit of overhang for the drawer to ride on. So it's going to go more or less here, just like that. And it'll, as I said, it'll be hidden by one of these, which will be in front of it. And I don't know, I'm thinking that's good. It'll run here, and then there'll be another one here because I'm going to cut it. And then the middle drawer will run on this. The side drawers will run on this, and then on another one I have to put over there and over here on the back behind me. To install the drawer dividers and runners, I've got to take measurements and you know, get their length and cut the piece. But if you can look here, you can see there's a slight gap. It's because the thing is bowing slightly in. So I've clamped my straight edge to this piece to bring it into straight, into alignment. And I'm going to sight down it just to make sure. To me, I mean, it looks really straight. It looks pretty good. So then what I'm going to do now is use this just butt up the piece against this and make a mark as to what the actual length is. Then I've got to add on length to make the mortises. So I'll just butt it up against here. I've squared up this end. Just gonna butt it up against here and make a mark. You probably can't see them because they're in pencil, but right here and right here I've got these marked where these divider pieces will go. So it's gonna sit right there, vertical of course, and I've got marked on either side of it so I can put my piece right in the middle of it. So what I'm gonna do is I have lines here. I'm gonna put this right on the line. This is where the mark's gonna be. And I've made sure that my bench is level front to back. So I put it on the top rail, that's perfectly in place. I've got a level here, the whole piece is level. And then I'm going to now put this on the back here, on this piece, because if it's up or down, it'll change the length. So I want to get this pretty close to level. And then rather than keeping the level, I'll just make a line, more or less where level is. And I'm going to bring my square up. Okay, I'm square, I'm on my line, and now without moving it, I'm going to mark the piece. This is kind of scary. Everything's scary. That'll get me really close. I probably went overboard on it, but I wanted to get as close as possible. I'm going to cut this, but I'm going to add on the length. I'm going to add on a little bit more to that, and then I will go ahead and cut it, square up the end, and do the process again for the other one. I cut this 1 1/8 long, but even though I measured 15, I'm going to leave it at 15 1/8 because I really want to see if I can get that backboard bowed the way it needs to be. But so that means I just need to get a 1/2 inch tenon cut on either end, and I can use that. I can do that by simply using a gauge, putting it at 1/2 inch. And all the gauge lines meet up. Come on, that's awesome. Same thing over here. Yes, this is a really short tenon, I know. But it's kind of like what it's basically, well, that lined up perfectly again too. It's just what I'm working with here. I've got less than ideal material. So now's the time I'm going to cut the tenons, but on the front I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to remove a little bit of material, and I'm going to make a half lap dovetail on either side of these. And that way it'll leave this here, won't have anything. I'll make a tenon right here, so imagine this. It'll be a half lap dovetail here, which will go around this divider. So dovetail, dovetail. And then only here on the upper part, where it'll go, it'll have a mortise going into there. So it'll be a little bit complicated in a way, but really not a big problem. Now on the front, I'm just going to begin by marking out, transferring all my lines around. I'm going to cut out a part right here in the middle to receive, so I can make the dovetail. So I have to actually mark that as well. I'm transferring the wall of the, I'm transferring this line right here down. Okay, so this is all going to get X'd out. I'm going to use a really clear thing here. It's gonna be kind of difficult because we're gonna have to saw across and then then up at an angle. So I've got that marked. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark my dovetail angles. I actually want this to be straight up and down, and this is gonna be the one. I want it straight up and down because I want it to slide right in between. I want the vertical style to go, I want the style to go right in between it, snugly. And to look like there's not a gap there. So I'll start by sawing, then I'll lay out my dovetail actually. You know, there's the same joint I used on my desk that I made. This goes around it, and I like how it sits in there and it helps pull everything together. So sure, I like it. Now we're essentially going to treat them like half-blind dovetails. The problem is that it's a very awkward thing. They don't lay flat, so I'm just going to try my best to keep it. There we go, and now it's just a matter of removing waste. So these are going to be now angled, like from the side there out. That'll stay the way it is. This will be straight. I'll just pare it off and it'll look good. All right, as you can see, it just starts to go in. And at the top is where I need it to be a little bit on the looser side. And it's nice there. At the bottom is where it needs to be, where it's going to get removed. So now I'm going to saw away this material here. This is going to be then angled away. It'll be full width there, but it'll be cut in on the side. And then this will be a half lap dovetail. Imagine this is the rail. You just set it on there, and then you have to dovetail it in. This will then be a mortise in behind the into that. So let's see if it fits. Now to cut the last part of this joint, which is the mortise here. There it is, all pared down. I'm gonna leave the walls a little bit there so I can take it off later when I'm fitting the joint because I saw it pretty close. And that's a pretty cool looking joint, right? Like I said, it's nearly there. For the dovetails, I've got this bevel gauge and it's set, I don't even know what to, but it's gonna be hard to get in there, as you can see. So I'm just gonna have to sort of improvise a solution. My solution then is I'm gonna mark in, I'm going to mark in a short distance, and I'm going to keep this the same, and then I'm just going to connect the dots, basically. So I'll cross the line there, and there. What I've done is I've made a small mark with my marking gauge right there where it crosses the line, and then I'm just going to connect the dots with a ruler. So instead of trying to saw this, I'm just going to chisel it away. You know, I will saw the knife wall though first. All right, so there it is. I've got my chiseling done. What do you think of that joint? That is cool, right? So I'm kind of nervous about how it's going to go together. We'll see though. I'm assuming I'll just go like this. I'll put it into this, and then I will set it all down on the rail as it goes as one unit. So I think that'll be fine because this will get mortised as well. But yeah, it's a nice tight fit there. And there it is. The next work is going to be doing the half lap dovetail chiseling on the front rail and actually cutting the tenon on the back here. I've started to, but I'm not going to show you this. It's just removing waste. So, all right, I've marked out where the tenon's going to go right here in this divider. I've marked my inset, how far it's going to sit back. You probably can't see my pencil line. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to take my gauge, set it on the pencil line, and I'm going to tighten that sucker right up. After I measure in, I've got that there, and I'm going to measure from the front of my piece because I'm going to remove some. If I sit that on there, that line is the back edge now of that. Accounting already for that, for the offset. Now, like I said, these two pieces are gonna lock together. I left the tall tenon on the top. I was dumb. I should have made an equal tenon, but whatever. I left this larger tenon on the top to go as a through tenon through the top rail. Now I've got to mate these two pieces together. So I'm actually gonna just get the measurement off the top here, and for that, what I'll do is I'll actually just take my square, and now I can transfer it to my piece. All right, so what's going to happen then, I don't know if you can see my lines there, but I'm going to remove pieces up to this point here, but I'm going to leave a small tenon. Now you get an idea of how these are going to come together, like that. So I'm going to make a mortise on the top there, and go from there. All right, so I've got it. It's a good enough fit. It goes in just with a little bit of friction there, as you can see. And it's not bad. So that'll be my drawer divider with the drawer support underneath, which I'm digging. I'm liking it. Okay, I've got it cut out there, as you can see, and I've done a little fiddling. So this is my first test try. I've tried to get it in a little bit, but it wouldn't really go at all. So I forced it a little bit at first, and I decided not to. So I'm gonna go at it with a clamp here, see what that does. Yeah, it's pretty tight, but I think I'm pretty close. So what I'm gonna do is trim up the actual the tails themselves. I see there's some unevenness on the side wall here, so I'll remove that and hopefully it'll go in. But I had it pulling away from here a little bit. There's a gap, So what I did is I removed a little bit off the front of the tail board here, of the pin board, excuse me. And so just ever so slightly, and then it closed up that gap. I beveled the underside and took a little bit off there, and I think it's going to go a little bit better. I'm going to try again with the clamp. I decided to put this piece of wood across it real quick, just to see if I can get it fully seated. I'm pretty close. Let's see what that did. That's really close. I'm like maybe a 16th, maybe less. Proud. That's just about ideal. Let me see if I can seat this one further. Yeah. It might have bottomed out. All right. That is nice. Now I'm going to put this piece in and do the mortise for it. And we'll have the first divider halfway in. I'm mortising this with the piece in because I don't want to risk any blowout on the back or on the sides or anything, so that's what's going on here. Alright, I've done a test fit. I think it's going to work, so I'm going to show you. That's pretty close. Really, not really any gap to speak of, except for the fact that since this isn't fully seated, it's a little high. It's right between the lines. That's great. Oof. This, wow, that's really, really exciting to see. All right, so there's both the drawer rails or supports. It's a really weird system. I have no idea what I'm doing. Quick. So this is tenoned into, these two are tenons. This is dovetailed. This was both one single piece. Same here, tenon, dovetail. These will be tenoned in the back. These will be tenoned in the back. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about the progress here. An idea what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna just lay the dovetail rail on top. That is superb. And now the moment of truth, if you will. I'm going to put a square up next to it. You can't see that, but I'll show you. That's pretty good. Wow. All right. Let's try another side here. That's pretty good too. There's a little bit of a gap. I can fix it. All right. And the other thing is, this has got to be an even distance. So this should be somewhere near 16.5 between there. Let's hope. Oh, I'm about a third. I'm so close. I'm maybe a 30 seconds off, maybe less.